Yeah, it's really hard getting all this 8-track stuff working out. Yeah, it's really hard getting all this 8-track stuff working out. There we go, we live.
Oh boy.
Hey.
Alright, I guess we better resume. So, as I said before, to try something new, I was going to hand off the duty of the recap of the last session to one of you guys. So, does one of you want to put up your hand, or should I roll a D3? And or a D2, I guess, because Orster wasn't present in the last session.
I am terrible at recaps. How about you, Bit?
I can't remember what happened. I
Cool.
can't remember what happened right.
So I'll try. We left the cave area that we were in. Then when we got outside, we set loose a whole bunch of yaks because it seemed like a good idea at the time, and caused a huge stampede throughout the entire camp. And then we were rescued by the town guard, who also was coming up and causing a lot of confusion. A bunch of people died. I don't think any yaks died, which was good, until we decided to slaughter them for a feast. And then we came back to the town and had a feast, and we had some big old presentation. And during this thing that no one really wanted to go to, aside from Othukkax, who likes to have all the limelight, we got interrupted by some deity who just made everything terrible. And Mutton, you'll have to tell us exactly what happened there, because Lily was screaming her head off the whole time.
Well, just to fill in the gaps as well, the hobgoblin encampment that you guys fought your way out of because you went loud in the middle of it was culminated with a battle with an Etin, a big ugly two-headed giant, who you beat handily after a grueling battle. And thankfully the rest of the hobgoblins were, as you said, distracted by the town guard, who had mounted an assault after the guard captain heard that you guys had skipped town real quick. And he busted you guys out of that situation. The leader of the hobgoblins, Dalgo Fang, managed to escape with a hellhound and a few other hobgoblins. And yeah, you guys settled in, got all the prisoners out, and head back to town. And let's see, what was it? Yeah,
We returned the boots.
Yes, you did return the boots to Wallace, I think his name was, and he was very grateful for that. So, but you still have your gate creeper seeds, your use of them. So if you find yourself in front of a barrier with soil at its base, then you guys can probably get through it. Apart from that, the ceremony was in honor of Iemade, Lady of Valor, who's the Abadic war goddess. You all got a brooch, a nice shiny new trinket, which signifies that you guys are badasses who contributed very essentially to the victory. And yeah, at the end of that ceremony, something overtook the high priestess, who was, holding the ceremony. Half of her body went all charred and blackened, and the other half of her body went sort of pale and lost all its color. And she spoke with an otherworldly voice, this crazy weird prophecy that you guys, I hope, have written down. I think you wrote it down in the party loot. Everyone seems to think roughly that it is Nephis, who is the god of knowledge, magic, and madness in the Abadic faith.
The thing that was said was, this kingdom rides on the fate of a now imperfect thread, where Pharasma's work frays there weakens the boundary between worlds. The old warlords thirst for their blood, their descendants to wake them back into reality, and with them come their loyal armies. The kingdom must fight and win like ages past. The mortals must renew the pact, sealing the evil behind a wall of wood. All other threads end like burning wicks in fire. Heed me and act, or this kingdom falls to chaos.
And if I remember correctly, at the end of this session, Prince Othukkax did not take that news too kindly, and he ran off in a hissy fit back, I presume, to the mayor's place, but I can't remember.
Yeah, he ran away. That's probably why we won't be able to find him for the first 2 hours of this session.
Yeah. Anyway, we pick up more or less where we left off. The purification ceremony crowd is dispersing, though you now wear the brooches that signify your feat of valor in saving the captured townsfolk. This prophetic visit by what seems to be a god Nephis has put everyone's nerves on edge. No one really knows what to make of it. You can see it in their faces. At the very least, they're not panicking thanks to you guys' reassurances at the end of last session at the stage. They're heroes.
Oh no, we
calm the hell down.
We returned the goat child, and he was also very happy.
Oh yeah.
Yay!
Yankovico Yob has a new lease on life now.
I think he cried a little.
Yeah, it was his lavender. It was alive all along. And the priestess has been carried off for further medical examination. Like I said, it's become readily apparent that Prince Othukkax left in a real hurry. But I suppose the next question is, where are you guys going? The rest of you are still on the platform in the square, surrounded by a shocked to a pallor crowd of locals that are wandering off and speaking in hushed tones. What would you like to do?
It's Matt who's got his number and stuff.
Lily's probably just really confused right now. So she doesn't know what to do, which is something that she doesn't like feeling. So she's going to look at Eifer and hope Eifer has a better suggestion. Eifer!
Yeah, Eifer's, I don't know. Eifer's probably going to be looking at Lily. I mean, I had to go this route. What Eifer would probably really do is probably try to follow Ortho, but he's not going to be here for a couple hours.
I've been right now. The notes I have here are just to start with whatever the hell that was and see where the session goes to it, but it'll be a narrative convenience that you guys cannot find him.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I probably look at Max. Max is the father. He's the oldest. He is the wisest.
Have you ever seen something like this before, Max?
I'm afraid I haven't.
Okay, well, if I remember what was going on in that lady's speech, there's something about, I don't know, destruction and chaos. That sounds fun, right? Let's not have that happen, okay? So what do we need to do to not have destruction and chaos happen? That's a comforting answer. Maybe we should talk to the mayor.
That is one option.
Juniper, what do you think?
I would want to skip town. And suffering can't happen when you're not around for it to happen too.
Well, I have a feeling that skipping town isn't going to stop the destruction and chaos, and it's probably going to affect us too. So we could try. Go ahead.
Probably in our best interest to go see the mayor then.
All right. The mayor's still sitting here on the platform blubbering like an idiot, right?
Pretty much, yeah. He's trying to, he's going off on one of his rants to try and figure out the situation while just not saying anything to the various people who are looking to him for guidance.
Lily's gonna kind of take him by the arm and gently lead him back towards where he lives and try to reassure him as she does.
Okay, is continuing to try and reassure the people who is in front of him, but he doesn't resist you pulling him away. It's just like he starts wrapping up things. Just like, oh, I'll be with you back in the minute once I figure out what this is about. I'm sure it's a big prank, something to undermine us, just a big laugh, probably from the base of the forest or something like that. They like to play these tricks every now and then.
Mayor Basson, with all due respect, please shut up. Thank you.
A little bit harsh.
She's just gonna lead him back into the town hall or wherever he does his business from.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Mayor.
Yes.
We have some good news and some bad news.
Please tell me you know what is going on here.
Yeah, the good news is, we think that's something to do with the god Nethys, which is not an evil deity. The bad news is we got Jack all beyond that. So it's not evil, but it's not necessarily good either.
I'm not sure it is still good news to say that it was Nethys. I thought he was a mad god. I don't know.
Okay, let's put it this way. The good news is the goblins are not going to destroy your town right now. The bad news is something else might, and we got to figure out what it is.
Oh, very well. As long as you're still here, I suppose I could use your help figuring this out. I dare say I don't like the shadow that's been cast over this town again. It's so soon after we got out of the previous one.
Alright, so first things first, the goblins were screwing up your food situation, so that is something that needs to be fixed right away. You need to send your farmers out to prep those lands again and so on. Whatever you had, you need to recover it. Is that something you can do?
Yes, of course. It's springtime still. We have fields yet to plant.
Good. So you'll survive for the summer, hopefully.
Should all go to plan, yes.
All right. Does anyone remember exactly what was said? Something about Pharasma and chaos and anybody at all? Fire? Something?
What concerned me the most, Maximilian pipes up, was the mention of a weakening between worlds. There are very few allegories which pertain to that being anything but some sort of incursion by foreign entities of this world or the next.
Okay, Father Max, my experiences with other worlds are very minimal. What does that mean? What do you mean by an incursion?
It could mean that a neighboring or foreign nation of this world may simply be walking in with a military force which will cause some havoc. Or it could be that certain malevolent entities from outside our regular understanding of the world may decide to step in through unseen doors. Such a thing is not meant to be possible. However, there is nothing but truth in whatever Nethys says, even if it is muddled and unreliable.
Can I roll to see what Lily knows about other planes? Arcana, I believe.
I believe so.
So a 13.
Okay, so you know that there are various stories about, otherworldly beings, demons, angels, fiends, various weird things, sometimes even fey creatures that pop into this material realm through various means. Most of the time it's with very costly rituals and with, evil bordering on obsession, that kind of thing. And they generally never turn out in, good events in the stories. There's always all the happy endings in those kinds of stories are when the fiend or demon is banished away, or whether it's just, driven off into the wilds. You've never heard of them coming in en masse, though, just in maybe one or two at a time.
And would I have thought of these as like fairy tales before now?
Yes, certainly.
So what you're saying is all those stories are actually maybe true? Like demons and stuff that actually exists?
Well, they exist, yes. They're probably not in the way you're thinking, and certainly not all the stories themselves are true. But they have elements of truth.
Well, crap. Mayor Basson, I've got some more bad news.
I heard it. You do not need to repeat it any further. I quite understand. But I still am not quite sure what we can do about such an occurrence. Are there men and women out there who are trying to summon them into our town? Should we be on the hunt for witches and pagans and such?
Eifer, you're the smarter of us. What do you recall from that? What do you think of? Like, there's something about Pharasma, and that seemed important, but I don't really remember much more.
You could try a knowledge roll as well, Eifer. Which one your roll would depend on what question you want answered.
Yeah.
So, out of character, the line she's referencing is that first one where it says, where Pharasma's work frays, there weakens the boundaries between worlds. But Lily's not the brightest person, so she doesn't retain knowledge very well. So she's having a hard time remembering it because she's kind of panicking.
So, I don't know.
I was busy standing on her head.
All the blood is rushing. Can't think straight.
Yeah.
Well, what would be a good knowledge check in regards to Pharasma? Religion?
Yeah, religion would give you some information.
Alright. Damn.
15 will give you a good chunk. Pharasma, who knits and hems, is one of the main goddesses in the Abbatic faith. She's the goddess of fate and the afterlife. Basically, she's got this really big mane of silver hair, which she uses to knit together souls and, the strings of people's lives. And they sort of pass into the world. And when souls, mortal souls come to the end of her life, the legend is that she takes the unraveling soul and reclaims it because it belongs to her. It's her hair. And she is a sort of weird, enigmatic figure because she doesn't quite act like you'd expect the average person to act. She has these weird, unseen motives, but it's generally believed that she is in control of a determined string of fate, or semi-determined string of fate for everyone, because everyone is made from a strand of her hair that she has knitted together. So if there is a flaw or a weakness in her weave, that stands to reason that there is something wrong with the way she has knitted this particular string of fate together, this sort of timeline, which may result in weird things happening. In this case, a weakening between worlds. So it might be that the regular rules which keep otherworldly creatures from incurring on this plane may be temporarily accepted, or otherwise there might be conditions during this time which would allow them to come through without the regular effort.
So there's a line about ages past, fights and win like ages past, and then something about renewing a pact. Can Lily do a history check on this?
You absolutely can.
Anyone want to try? I only have +2 in history.
Well, let's see what I got.
+3.
Maybe she can assist someone. Can you assist in recalling knowledge? I don't know.
Yeah, you can assist in a knowledge check in a controlled situation, because you guys can sort of discuss it amongst yourselves. Try to, line up your knowledge and jog each other's memories.
Maybe find a library or something.
That may do it. If you'd like to.
Sorry, go ahead.
So
if you'd like to find a library, then we can play that out if you want.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna ask what Max's bonus was. I was gonna consider giving him advantage if you were gonna let that, but you kind of rolled it before I said that. Anyways, what does a 17 give us?
Max sort of has his eyes up to the ceiling, pondering for a little bit. He seems to have something on the tip of his tongue for a little while. Eventually he speaks up, just slowly as he's organizing his thoughts. I cannot recall any particular time where there was a fight of ages past involving otherworldly beings, except for the old tales about the cataclysm several hundred years ago. And the histories around those particular events are scant at best. The records are rare, there are few copies. I have not read them myself except for a few passages. Perhaps someone who has studied for longer than I have may know. There are likely a few people in the town here. I should say that the Abbatic faith, though it has its stringencies, does have a streak of good education and record keeping. It may be that the High Priestess would know the most about this kind of history, this ancient past.
But she's kind of incapacitated at the moment.
This is true. We may be able to wait until she comes to.
Yeah, I mean, the boundary between worlds can't unravel in a single day, right? We're fine waiting a bit.
We could also visit our friend in the forest.
There was something about a wall of wood.
It's the best that we can act on right this instant.
What about you, Juniper?
Are you certain there's no one else in town that you could possibly go to? Do we really have to go out into the forest again?
That's a nice forest.
It certainly is.
Just a quick question out of character.
Mm-hmm.
Did Juniper accompany you guys to Tanglebraid's Glade before?
No.
Okay. Well, you still know, Juniper, that the Autumn Wood is a place which has a lot of bad juju. So your character, it stands to reason that they would not want to tread in there.
Okay. Do I need to do any sort of, like, roll or anything, to talk about it, or?
It's general knowledge that the Autumn Wood is a haunted and ugly, sort of dangerous place that you shouldn't really be in for more than an hour or so. And even then, it should only be, like, in shallow parts, because it's really easy to get lost in there. There's a lot of dark magics.
Lily's saying it's a nice place would probably strike you as very odd.
Yeah.
She gives Lily a perplexed look. Are you certain, about that? Are you sure you've been there before?
Yeah, once. Nothing scared me.
Just once.
Why? How many times have you been there?
Well, if you actually managed to make it out, maybe that's worth something after all. Consider it.
Mayor, are there any libraries or anything of the like in town?
There's I would say the greatest collection of books in this town would be in the Abatic Church, the temple there. They tend to keep records of things, and also a good library of good, wholesome knowledge.
Wholesome.
Just wholesome knowledge? That sounds boring.
It's the best that we have use for here, I'm afraid.
I mean, if the whole world's going to burn in a fire, I think wholesome's the least of our concerns at the moment, but I guess we can start with one of those things.
Have time for him to spice up the library.
Maybe. Let's go to the woods. Anyone want to go marching through the woods? I think that's a fun idea.
I would also like to journey to the woods just to see if what she says is actually the truth or not.
Now, last time we went with Wallace, right? Are we going to be able to find our way through?
Wallace didn't come with you.
Okay.
He just gave you guys directions.
Okay, so we still have those directions that can make it. So the important thing is, don't draw a weapon, if I recall, no matter what. No! Exactly.
Yeah,
Violent child there.
So let's head on out, I guess.
So, spending a few hours, you managed to get yourself to the edge of the Autumn Wood, take a deep breath, and step yourselves in. Just like last time, it's seemingly always a sort of twilight levels of dark under this canopy, and it's always a sort of cloying, organic kind of scent to it. That sort of moss and soil and humidity that just fills your noses. The air's thick here. It's sort of misty and foggy. And everywhere around you is some form of green and brown. There are birds every so often, but you don't really see a lot of wildlife. And as you make your way down to the track that leads you to Tanglebraid's Glade, it's you get this feeling that you're being watched, and to an extent it's comforting because you've met the people on the other end before, but still at the same time you're acutely aware that the pagans you met before are not the only thing that are in the Autumn Wood. But you meet no danger as you find your way to that upturned rib cage sticking out of the forest, along with the stone pillar marked with glowing runes.
As we're walking, Lily just kind of looks up into the trees on either side and waves with a grin randomly.
Eifer watches closely.
Nothing waves back to you until about halfway through your waving. Out of the corner of your eye, one of the tree branches seems to wave, and then when you look at it, it's completely still.
It must have been the wind or something.
Friends.
Okay, the wind.
Right. I'm not scared. Anyone else? All right. Let's go to this completely innocent rib cage in the ground.
This time around, one of the goblins is waiting perched on one of the ribs for you guys. Seems to be grinning happily.
Hello.
Metal Frenzies is back! Hello, Metal Frenzies!
Hi.
You come to picnic?
Sort of. Is Tanglebraid here?
She's around. Always around, she's here. So, Holmes,
We have
gives her a minute.
Go ahead.
Gives her minutes. She'll be back here.
All right. We have a question that might concern the whole world being destroyed.
World being destroyed, not important. Who the hell's that? That's his. Stranger's woman's. Who's yous? These little goblins that are dressed up in weird wear and having knives and little, various trinkets made of bone. They seem to be looking at you and pointing with what you cannot quite tell is between anticipation, excitement, and suspicion.
Juniper raises an eyebrow and gestures to herself. Me? You're talking about me?
Yes, you're the only foreigners he has all else's friends as they come before.
All right. She takes another look at Lily. Would you like to explain this to me?
Her name's Juniper.
Okay, we understand.
Cool.
They all seem to calm down.
So, glad this was settled. Trying to keep my phoenix parrot from really freaking out over here at the sudden intrusion of the creatures, or is it more so our sudden intrusion?
Now, destruction of world? That sounds like a lot of effort. Why would you want to do that?
I agree. That seems like a really bad idea. We heard a what would you call it, Max?
Not sure if there's a word for it other than a prophecy.
Prophecy. We heard a prophecy about something about fate unraveling the boundaries between worlds, and then armies coming to fight, and something about a pact sealing evil behind wood, and I really don't know much more beyond that.
Wood?
Wood.
Wall of wood?
Yeah, a wall of wood.
Ramparts
Of wood.
up like tree trunks. Betwixt them you shoot to keep the enemy away? Walls of wood! Walls of wood! They start chanting in unison.
Yes. Walls of wood. Walls of... Lily just kind of tentatively starts chanting with them.
Tanglebraid, in her regular black dress, comes around one of the thicker tree trunks, and as she comes around to you guys with a bit of a smile on her face, looking around at the playful chanting, and it sort of fades down into a silence as she looks you guys over.
Walls of... Oh.
Glad you came. I was expecting. Sees, I knew yous would come. Because yous good friends come visits Tanglebraid and her friends.
Exactly. We were hoping to have a picnic, too.
Ooh. Hungry for food, hungry for... Oh, picnics. Wait. No, you did not come here for that. I know you didn't come here for that because I have something for you.
Oh?
And I knew you would come to find it.
Well, I suppose we can do that during the picnic.
All sames to me's. But I still give it to you now.
Okay.
And she pulls out of this little satchel that she's got around her shoulders. This weird sort of discus shape of wood, and as she moves it around, it sounds like there's some kind of liquid in it, and she tosses it in the general direction of all of you.
I'm gonna try to catch it.
Go for it. Roll Dex. Yeah, that'll do it. Managed to clap it between your hands, and it's a little heavier than you expected, but upon closer inspection, along the sort of center top of it are 3 corked holes, and it has this weird scorched etching of a pair of antlers across its front face. And Tanglebraid, with a grin, says a thing which I had written down here. If I can find it, here we go. Metal people listens. Metal people, even metal sings their songs when it pings and it pongs about. And metal womans you may be, but your song sings a nice honest ring. Takes you a gift from us, so no jokes it hurts you, or your friends too smartly. And this vessel for liquid, it you can tell that there's something extra special about it.
Is it magic?
Yes.
Cool. Can Max do detect magic today?
If it's got a few minutes, sure. Can ritual it.
That's not really going to tell us much other than it's magic, though. So you're saying that it protects us from your friend's jokes?
Not from our jokes. Our jokes is not meant to be hurtful and hurting all the time and for more than a minute. You get hurts by jokes of metal men's with metal weapons, or with grimy things which gribble and crawl, or with invisible things that make you cough and splutter. It protects you from that once you start coughing.
Can I roll anything to figure out what this is?
You can roll a straight intelligence check for now.
That'll go well. Uh-huh.
You have no clue, Lily. Eifer, you reckon this is maybe some kind of potion? You don't know.
I mean, water does do good to cleanse your throat when you're coughing, that's for sure.
Metal woman's does not lies, but is mistaken it's not waters. Don't drink for thirst. Drink for hurt.
What color is the liquid?
It's hard to tell without removing one of the corks. But if you do remove one of the corks, the scent of it is very strong. It's like a very strong cough syrup scent. You know, that sort of Egyptian root cough syrup, the natural stuff.
Delicious. Well, thank you very much for this. We will try to put it to its best use. But I had a question for you about this wall of wood thing.
Old stories, she speaks. Old stories. What's about walls of wood, he wants to know?
Well, something about sealing a pact to get rid of evil behind the wall of wood, or something along those lines.
She's very thoughtful as she looks up into the dark canopy and sort of paces around, humming very intensely. And she walks back up to the obelisk and sort of pats it like it's a good friend. She goes, "Our masters of winds and leaves and grasses guards the walls of wood like any others of the autumn wood. Mans the walls against the nasties. It's duty since kept him here. It's wise we can't speak to him outside autumn wood."
So, you can speak to him inside the autumn wood then?
Yes. Does so many often. Otherwise he gets lonely. Very sad.
Could I talk to him?
Again, she sets off in this sort of broad humming.
Please?
Tangle braids doesn't wants to hurt, so knows this is not joke, but only fact. Use is very metal.
Yes.
You're not too steely. Too, what's the words is of the metal men's? Nobles. No nobles.
Yeah, nobles are kind of... What if I removed my armor and my weapons? Would that help?
Still metals in your hearts and your bloods. She, approaches the party a bit more closely. Starts, just leaning in and sniffing at Max like a dog would. And, moving over to Eifer. Does a similar thing. She sort of wrinkles her nose a little bit. And then she moves on to Juniper. Takes a whiff. Nothing creepy, just like a dog would. And her eyes light up. Yous don't have too much metals. You wants to speaks with it?
You. And you're certain I don't have too many medals?
No, it's pures and cleans like grasses greens.
Then what can I say? Guess I'll have to talk to him.
The cleans ladies comes up to the obelisk when she's ready.
She shoots a look at both Max and Lily, kind of asking for help, as she's not quite sure what to really bring up to the obelisk.
Lily gives the most encouraging, I don't know, shrug.
Max looks a little bit worried. Sort of goes, "You do not have to do this if you don't want."
Ask him
Someone that
who
can
he is.
approach him.
So what was that? Two people talking at once?
Sorry.
any kind of roll I could do for knowledge about the obelisk?
You can roll religion.
Let's see.
Or Arcana, actually. Yeah, either one of them.
Lily would suggest that you ask who this guy is and ask if he's from a different world.
Roll just for, you know.
Okay, with that roll, you can sort of... you recognize a couple of the runes, just from various, conversations you've had with more magic academic types, that this is very old sort of magic, the kind of thing you'd find in archaeological digs. But it lends... You recognize a couple of the characters which would lend credence to it being some kind of communication device.
Okay. Alrighty then, Juniper's...
Just one more thing. What metal things do you have on your person at the moment?
Arrowheads, rapier.
in the...
Maybe your armor? I can't remember what you have. You have studded leather armor, I think.
Let me take a look-see again. Yeah, studded leather.
Thieves' tools. Probably whatever's in your backpack. There's probably some metal in that.
Maybe your boots.
Got a light crossbow. Yeah, of course, the rapier, the daggers.
Mm-hmm. So as you step up to the obelisk, Tanglebraid puts up a hand and just sort of her mouth just goes instantly into a frown, and she points immediately to the biggest part of metal in your person, which is probably the rapier, and just goes, "Metal things puts aside. Doesn't like the smell, he doesn't."
I'll hold them
All
for
right.
you.
Said Juniper, reluctantly handing over her probably best weapon to Lily.
I think she
Boy.
meant all of your metal.
Doesn't have to be all. Covers it. Smells bad.
Nervously,
Use that.
Juniper steps forward, Tanglebraid, still looking back at her comrades. I'll talk to him. She steps forward to the obelisk.
Okay. Now Zeus takes a deep breath. Deep breath. Sink into forest. Feel it sink. Like lying down in a field. Put your hand to the obelisk.
In a bit of hesitance, she does reach for and put her hand down on the obelisk.
It is quite cold. Colder than you expect the stone to be. And then
She kind of draws her hand away then, but then tries to bring it back.
it's not unbearably cold. You can still touch it, but Tanglebraid, sort of after a few seconds of expecting something, sort of her eyes dart between you and the obelisk, and she just gestures quickly. Say hello.
A nervous hello. Looks up at the obelisk expectantly.
So as soon as you say hello, you feel this wrenching sensation, kind of like if you're going through a massive head rush. So your balance goes off, your vision blurs and comes up with all these stars. You can't really process anything you're hearing properly. You can't really think very straight. Like you've only got access to a portion of your mind at once. But as you're coming out of it, like you normally do with a head rush, you start to notice that the little sounds of the forest around you sort of completely stop. And looking around, you can't see Tanglebraid, can't see the goblins, you can't see your friends. But you're still in... everything else seems to still be there. And then you sort of... the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. And then behind you, possibly to your shock, is what looks to be a man who's about 16 foot tall, holding a massive axe, which doesn't look like it's metal. It looks like it's got a grain like wood, but it's shaped like a regular axe, like a battle axe. And you can't see any of his flesh or features. He's covered in furs and hides from head to toe, really thick. Makes him look massively built, even beyond, his unnatural height. And on his head, completely obscuring his face, appears to be the skull of some kind of deer with two huge antlers cresting out above it. He's looking down at you, just in a deep voice, just goes,
"Hello, new visitor? Didn't
Stands
expect
back, trying to brace herself just in case she would need to, on instinct, bolt in the opposite direction. I don't know if that's quite possible now, but steadies herself once the creature greets her. Hello.
What's the name you bring, new friend?"
My name is Juniper. I'm actually here on behalf of myself and my friends.
"I like the name, Juniper. You can be a friend. How has your day been?"
It hasn't been the best. Had a prophecy delivered to us about blood and chaos. To know anything about that?
I know many things. The prophecies of chaos come in many forms. Perhaps you had a question?
Is this a prophecy that's going to be delivered by mankind, by humans attacking the town, or is it something between worlds?
I may need to read your mind in order to find what the words were. Would you give me permission?
Alright.
You see, I have been here a long time. I do not keep track of the rest of the world anymore. It's too big, too busy. You must help me.
"You still there, Ulster?"
Did my mic cut out?
I think it did.
What could I possibly do to help you?
Just tell me the words you heard. Nothing too costly.
And she's gone.
Oh no.
Well, shit.
The darkness swallowed her. We have to rescue her.
Lily's
Okay,
probably looking at her in a panic right now because I think she could see that she's disappeared, or not disappeared, but the head rush thing. She probably see that, right?
Well, from your perspective, we're going to do this while she reconnects or whatever's going to happen. Basically, when she said hello, then she had this weird sort of look come about her, like her entire body just tensed up in a fright. And then she sort of relaxed and is just sort of standing there blankly, just breathing slowly. And when and if you approach her, she doesn't react to your presence, even if you touch her. She just she sort of recoils a little bit at your touch, and sort of looks at you blankly without any sort of understanding. It's like she's just not even there.
I think her mind's been eaten.
Is this normal, Tangle Braid?
Yes, it's normal. With friends around, it means your bodies doesn't get hurt, but your minds takes on a different place.
Can her mind get hurt?
Only if she picks fights. Does Juniper's pick fights?
Well, let's hope not.
Welcome back.
Yeah, sorry about that. Thing kind of froze on me again.
It's all good.
You know. Thing. Sorry.
That's fine. We were just going over what the other guys were seeing while you had you disconnect. Basically, you are standing. Your body is standing catatonic, touching the obelisk, and you don't seem to react with any intelligence to anyone. But your consciousness is still having a conversation with this giant man with lots of furs, an axe, and an elk skull. So he says to you,
Can you tell me what prophecy you are referring to? Many prophecies say that the world will end. Not many of them are true.
It is true, but it comes from a particular goddess who is quite known for having truth in what she says.
Then it has some credence.
Victor, could you remind me of her name? I'm sorry.
the god, it's not a goddess, it's a god, Nephis.
Comes from Nephis. You know of him?
Very few do not know Nephis. He supplied knowledge which helped everyone, and also caused some downfalls. But never did he lie. Not sure he can.
Do you mind getting out again?
It did, or it looked like someone actually left.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Bid's PC crash. He'll be back.
Okay.
We can keep going in the meantime, though.
Yeah. Just a little hint. I reckon Juniper would be clever enough to connect the dots here, but things seemed to get a little crazy back with Tanglebraid and her goblins when you mentioned the wall of wood. So perhaps dropping that would be helpful to getting this guy to answer your questions.
Listen, would seem to be a little bit unnerved by the wall of wood. Does that have anything to do with it?
You're standing on the wall of wood.
scoots off, as though like moving 1 inch would do it.
Somehow you just see more of him.
The wall of wood is not quite the same wall that defends human places. Instead of being a ring which keeps things out, it's a ring which keeps things on the inside, but it still keeps them out in the same way.
Gives him another perplexed look without really replying. Instead, still staring at what she's currently standing on. See.
If Nether speaks of the wall of wood, perhaps the wall will not keep things out in the same way.
I'm relieved by such a notion.
Depends. Are things that are kept out. Some of them are friendly. Many of them want to kill and keep killing. We and them battling every day. The battles are fierce. I strike them down. The next morning they come back. Same as has always been for centuries.
Juniper stares back at him. How do you not find yourself fatigued if that's the case?
I have other things. It is like an occupation. I talk to my friends when I have a break. I have fun. Everyone deserves a break. Perhaps I will take one soon.
A small smile. That does sound comforting. But on the issue of the prophecy, is there any way you can tell me, or what it is we can do for what little time we have?
You have some time further, I think, from what I can tell. What you may be able to do now is try to find how the wall of wood was created or strengthened. There is a pact on this wall that was forged not just by guardians, such as myself. It was forged by the Kingdom of Eston, back before it united everyone. The chieftains came together, and they made an agreement with the spirits here. Perhaps that pact is due to change. As for what were the terms, it is so long ago I do not remember. I've been defending this wall too long.
Juniper puts her hand up to her chin, looking deep in thought. Action would be to do, as you said, do more research and then figure out a way to strengthen it. But if even you can't remember what the terms of the pact were, our chances.
Your chances are better. I cannot read or write. But the chieftains who forged the pact, they could. I think they would have written something down.
Then it seems our best option is to go back to town. And look in that library that the mayor mentioned, and see what we can dig up from the archives. In terms to the obelisk, and gives him a creature and gives him a heavy bow. Thank you for your assistance. It was very nice to meet you.
As you bow, he extends a finger and just pats Clucky on the crest, and Clucky seems to enjoy it a little bit, and says,
Thank you for visiting. It's nice to see new friends. If you need me again,
Sorry, go ahead.
if you need me again, you can find me in the Autumnwood. I am the Elkin Lord. That name brings my attention.
Nods. Thank you, Elkin Lord. Turns away, expecting to go back.
Have a nice day.
As well.
and with that friendly farewell, you find yourself encompassed with a head rush again. And just like last time, you only come to once all the sounds around you change, and they change back to how they were before. You notice the sort of presence of people around you and realize it's Tanglebraid and the others, and you're back where you started.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh, hi! You're back.
Hello.
We totally weren't doing rock, paper, scissors to divvy up your stuff in case you never came back or anything. The Elkin Lord. I wonder why it's
Innocent.
Elkin.
Are you okay, Juniper? Max asks.
A little. Like, she kind of doubles over and holds her head a bit. Give me a few moments. As she stands up straight.
So, did you see anything?
Quite a few things. Namely the Elkin Lord and the Wall of Wood.
Oh, good. So it does exist.
Yes, it seems like it does. I was standing upon it.
So,
And
did this Elkin Lord tell you any information?
only what he knew thus far, and that is, as it stands now, our best course of action may be to look for ways in order to strengthen the Wall of Wood to keep what we can out.
Okay,
Our best course.
but we can't go there. Right, Tanglebraid?
Too much metal.
And
But
you're
you can still
saying,
strengthen it.
and you're
Keep
saying
things
it's
out to keep things in.
sorry, and you're saying that it's in my blood, so I can't get rid of it anyways.
You can get rid of it. Just takes a while.
Ugh. We might not have a while.
You don't have to go there. Onto the wall.
How do we strengthen something if we don't go there?
Juniper speaks up. There may be some sort of hint or clue in the writings over in the library. Something that at the very least on the mortal plane could figure out in order to strengthen it from here. The Elkin Lord does not remember the pact or the terms of it, so there might be a way that we could find out some sort of to strengthen it with our own hands.
Well, it's good to confirm at least that it exists, rather than being buried in some kind of weird simile, Max says.
Well, the other possibility is the guy's just playing with us.
Tanglebraid grins. Oh, Elkin Lord has a very dull sense of humor. I don't think you have to worry about him joking with you. He likes a good laugh as much as the next person, but he's not very good at making jokes. He's very busy.
I can confirm 100% that that is my general assessment of him. He talked very openly. Okay.
Openly. Did he have a fairly wooden expression?
Juniper flinches at the thought. Considering the Elkin Lord's actual general appearance, I would not say that.
At that pun, you feel a splat on your back, Lily, as a bird craps on you.
Oh great, I'm becoming one with nature a couple of levels early.
Or did.
A bit. Stays you for a picnic, some lunch? Or does you wants to save the world? Tanglebraid understands either way.
I mean, I don't think we can't do both.
Elkin Lord did state that we have a good a good solid amount of time.
And we do have to eat, eventually.
Food.
Stays used for food. Come, sit on grass. It's very soft. And she whistles. She brings her fingers up to her lips and whistles for the goblins, and they sort of skitter around. And eventually, they bring back what appears to be a few weird, sort of carved out wooden bowls of what appear to be mushroom and cabbage salads that. And various morsels of rabbit meat and bird meat, which look and smell kind of not great. But as soon as you taste them, they start to taste good for some reason.
As the flurry of activity starts, Lily's actually going to remove her armor out of respect and her weapons and just set them down. Of course, like any adventurer, she's got clothes underneath, so no gawking, people. But she'll remove her armor and set it aside and approach where the food's being set out.
Before you even take a step, one of the goblins pokes you roughly with a finger and then runs away. And then another one does something similar. And
Can Lily grab one as an attack opportunity and then tickle it?
Possibly. Roll athletics, because they're continuing to give you a try, and they seem to only try to poke you when you're not looking, and it's hard to catch them. But eventually you start realizing when they're coming to poke you and sort of react to it. But unfortunately, when you do that, the goblin you try to grab sort of twists out of your grasp and laughs hysterically and runs away. But they are particularly poking you wherever you had armor covering before. Wherever they can sneakily poke you.
She's trying to not laugh because she might be slightly ticklish.
And Max will give a smirk at this, but just tries to stare down some of the goblins to stop them annoying you, but it doesn't seem to prevent them.
She doesn't look like she's annoyed, actually. She looks like she's enjoying the banter.
Fair.
Juniper gives a slight gawk at the scene and actually sort of looks at Lily with intrigue wherever she's been poked, and then kind of steps back when she starts laughing. Right, shifts her gaze away.
Eifer's gonna smiling, laughing at Lily while she follows suit and removes her armor.
Similarly, the goblins do start poking at you as well, Eifer. So what kind of armor did you have?
Splint.
Splint mail?
Yep.
Right, they're poking you harder.
Oh no, Lily's back in her splint mail as well because she had a knight.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, egalitarian prodding is happening right now. Max seems satisfied to keep his armor on, and you guys enjoy.
Come on, Father Max, you don't want to be tickled?
I've been tickled enough in my life.
You can never have too
Back
much.
behind Max. Yeah, this is not really, my sort of thing. All of it today.
You're telling me. My faith has kept me in temples, rather than places like this.
Learned something new about you today.
And the palms is holy symbol of Sarenrae. It's just, well, can't keep everything a secret.
Lily's gonna keep trying to tickle one of the goblins. But
Give another athletics check, just to see what happens.
14's better.
Okay, this time you managed to grab one and give him a brush at the sides of the kidneys. He starts sort of cackling hysterically as you're continuing to hold him down. But you sort of have to be careful because he still has this knife that he's waving around. He doesn't seem to be trying to strike you, but he's definitely lost a bit of control of his limbs. And then, as you focus down too hard, two other goblins come up behind you and like jab you in the kidneys in the perfect way to make you laugh. And like in that way where if you do it by surprise to someone, then they just sort of completely tense up their back and just go completely.
Should let him go after that.
Yep.
We do something.
All right, let's eat. She's gonna sit down on the grass.
Sorry, so did you ask if we could do something or what?
Oh, with the goblins, like, tickling and everything, it was just a suggestion of, should we do something to stop it?
Oh, right. Max smirks. Lily, you can handle yourself, can you?
What do you think, Father Max?
He smiles knowingly. And you guys enjoy a wholesome meal that it's one of those meals where you can feel how healthy it is, and it just makes you feel good. But,
Loving this rabbit meat.
yeah, it's still wholesome, like hearty, and the conversation. The goblins aren't much for conversation. They seem to just sort of play jokes and make up weird limericks to insult each other and you guys and have a good laugh. And, Tanglebraid is willing to listen to people and, talks a little bit, but it's not exactly, high conversation. But it's still a lot of fun.
If I asked for if I asked for more information about the Elkin Lord, would she respond?
Depends what questions you asked.
So Lily would want to know if he's from another world.
Tanglebraid, sort of her mouth twists a little bit in thought. Not from your world, but still from this world.
Are we in a
Sort of depends.
Are we in a
From
different world?
is a different world to your hometown? No. It's no answer you can give and then say you're done. Because if you're from place, you created in that place, or you live in that place. Elkin Lord doesn't remember when or where he was created, but he's from here. By the way, sir, we kept his name a secret, so no one will come looking for him. But we can trust you, can we?
Oh, of course.
It's safe with me.
Thank you. Elkin Lord, he has very many strange stories. Strange stories about things that come from here and not from here, and things that came here that were not from here but are from here now. And sometimes he speaks of things which were from here but are not anymore.
I wish I could have met him.
Maybe you will. Get all that metal out of your veins.
The metal keeps me safe, though.
Yes, it does. But what's the fun in being safe?
More of a matter of being safe rather than fun. Metal organs.
Everyone has their preference.
Hi. She turns to Lily. This that I got to meet the Elkin Lord.
I think I missed the first couple words there. What was that?
Turns to Lily and kind of smirks. So, are we jealous that I got to meet the Elkin Lord?
Are you jealous?
Yes.
I am happy.
Well, fine. I'll just have to find something to make you jealous.
Very much. There's very little about yourself that could ever really make me jealous.
Ooh, them's fighting words, girl.
And Tanglebraid turns to Eifer at this point. She sort of shuffles around and sits right next to you, Eifer, and with that same sort of wrinkle nose look, sniffs you again, recoils a bit, goes, "Where's you from?" "From's a place I do not know. Where's you smell? Not been there."
What does it smell like?
Smells of not a good place. Like ash. Like clumping feet. Very metal, but a different kind of metal. You're more like steel, Lily. Metal woman. Eifer, more like iron.
Cannot say really where I come from, other than I come from same place as Lady Lily. How about you? Where do you come from?
Lily gives Tanglebraid a sniff.
Tanglebraid smells of
Musty.
funnily enough, you know what elderberries smell like? You know that old person perfume smell? She smells like that.
She smells like my grandma.
Tanglebraid taps a finger to her cheek and thinks, I was from the town name. The town name near Pascalie. Pascalie. Born there. Was born there.
How long ago?
Forgets to count sometimes. Has to go back and count birthdays. Just a minute. 1, 2, 3. And she's counting on her fingers, and then eventually she has to count on her toes, and then she counts both her ears, and then one of her horns. 23 years ago.
Do you think people miss you?
No. No. They wanted me to come here. Didn't like me.
They sent you to the forest?
I went because I wanted to. But they didn't want me there. Thought if I would stay there, then I would cause milk to go sour. I would cause barns to burn, and cows to get sick. I didn't want that. So I came here.
People are mean sometimes.
Yeah.
Lily gives her a big hug.
And she takes a second to return it, but she returns it very, very tightly. Goes, comforting, but don't worry about my problems. I'm happy here. Worry about the world ending or whatever it is. Much more important.
Lily stands up. You know, all problems are important. She's gonna go put her armor back on.
Okay. Tanglebraid turns to Eifer again. Just goes, I didn't smell like that. It's not something I smelled before. But don't let them be mean to you for anything. Yours probably has something you have to do. Something like that smell. It doesn't stay still. Take opportunity. Keep lookout. Could be something important.
Of course. Thank you.
She grins. And I suppose if you're wrapping up this exchange, then, well, unless you have anything else to ask.
Think Lily's all set.
So you take your leave, saying your farewells, saying your thanks for the meal, and as you're walking away, Max he holds up the weird discus wooden vessel and hands it back to you. Says, I had a closer look while we were having our meal. Sorry I was not very talkative. But I believe there's a medicine in the cavities of this vessel. It's split into 3, so 3 doses presumably. A very powerful healing tonic. And he eventually explains to you guys that you have what is mechanically 3 doses of Kiotom's ointment.
That's nice.
Well, that is something.
That it is. So yeah, you've got 3 doses of it. Each dose, you can drink it like a potion, heals 2d8 plus 3 hit points and cures all poisons and diseases.
But
perhaps we can heal the priestess if she's still sickened.
Could be useful. So you guys head back to Pascaly. The walk is a little more comforting now that you have food in your stomachs, and especially you, Juniper. This forest suddenly seems a whole lot less spooky now, even though it hasn't changed in looks, simply because you understand it a little bit better. But, perhaps you're still a little bit tense after that spiritual experience, I guess you could call it. But yeah, you guys make it back to Pascaly with no problems.
See, I told you the forest wasn't too bad.
Friends.
I did say that, however, considering all of that, I elect not to go back. It just for a little while at least. But that was an experience.
And as you guys make it to the city limits, there is a guard on a horse that spots you and waves you down, and slows down to a stop in front of you, and holds out. Oh, sorry. I suppose he wouldn't have a. He'll basically say the message. It says, "You lot, Lady Colwyn and friends. Guard Captain Hockett wishes to meet with you all. If you could head to the barracks at your nearest convenience." He seems kind of nervous to speak with you.
Are you okay, sir?
Yes. I'm quite all right. It's just that prophecy, that omen. It's got me nervous as much as everyone else.
It'll be okay. We're investigating it.
And that's good to hear. It's probably why Guard Captain Hockett wants to speak with you, actually. But that's not my business. But yes, he wishes to speak with you before the day is out, if you're available.
Could you do a favor for me?
Of course.
One of our friends kind of ran off. The gaudy one, Othukkax. Could you keep an eye out for him?
Yes, of course.
I just want to make sure he doesn't get hurt or anything. It's not like I actually care about him or anything.
Baka.
Baka.
I will pass on the message. And we'll see to it that he doesn't find himself in too much trouble.
Thank you.
He rides off, and I think before we continue, it's probably a good time to take a 10-15 minute break.
All right.
So I'm going to make a cup of tea.
On break. It has a great day.
So how are things going so far? Are we having a fun session?
Yeah.
Clayproof gets to miss out on all the juicy RP.
Hey, Bet.
Duh.
Want to do rock, paper, scissors?
Heck yeah.
Alright, so we're going to roll a 1d3,
Mm-hmm.
and a 1 beats a 3.
I
Double bracket.
bam.
Tie! Alright, do it again. Rock, paper, scissors, go. Ah!
I win.
Rock, paper, scissors, DM.
That's something.
Oh, I'm just goofing.
It's like rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock. Except lizard and Spock is DM.
Coca-Cola, enjoy.
I'm actually drinking something called Zevia.
That's some kind of stevia sweetened drink?
Yeah, actually.
That's what I was wondering.
It's a soda that is sweetened by the stevia sweetener. And it has a whole bunch of really cool, healthy things with it.
From flavors?
There's like 20 different flavors or so. You can check it out on Amazon or on their website. But like their orange soda tastes like Fanta, and I hate Fanta. So I've got their grape soda, which is actually really good. I haven't had grape soda since I was a kid.
No.
But it tastes good. And theoretically it's healthy. By the way, Zevia, if you want us to be a sponsor for you guys, or if you want to sponsor us, yeah. I promise.
Use coupon code JBShill for 20%.
I promise I won't do the same thing I did with Diet Sunkissed. If anyone doesn't happen to know that, I used to have a podcast where we spoofed that we were sponsored by Diet Sunkissed, and we'd say things like, Diet Sunkissed, it tastes better than eating dung. Or, Diet Sunkissed, there are worse ways to die. That kind of thing.
Death by Sunkiss is an A-okay way to go.
Really, it is. It's pretty tasty.
I mean, I'm drinking my way through soda to death anyways.
Didn't know Sunkist even came.
Full calorie soda, but that's worse.
Yeah, the diet type I think actually tastes a lot better than normal, because the normal is just like pure sugar.
Yeah, as long as it's muted a bit, like I can't handle like full on sugar in the mouth.
It's basically enough sugar to make your teeth itch. But with the diet stuff,
Dr. Pepper too.
yeah. With the diet Sunkist, it's all aspartame, which was gonna kill you, but I think it tastes better.
Going to end anyways. I mean, might as well.
Exactly.
So depressing. Anyways.
We're all gonna die, might as well enjoy it on the way out, right?
Yeah, work our diet sodas are sucralose drinks, but they're pretty tasty. There's an orange one that I like. Orange and mango, its flavour is actually.
Sucralose in, you mean for Australia?
I'm not sure if they call it that here in the States.
I know that a lot of countries ban aspartame because it's actually that bad for you.
Can't say I know much about it.
Jerwine?
You're cutting in and out quite a bit.
Jerwine?
That's not good.
What did you just say about Jerwine?
Cheer wine. Cheer wine. Wine of cheer.
Oh,
Cheer
cheer
wine.
wine.
I don't even know what that is.
So like appetizer or something?
It's a soda, but it's only down here in South Carolina. You can't get it anywhere else.
That's probably why I don't know about it.
I mean, supposedly that's the theory goes. It was banned like up north because it had the name Cheerwine, supposedly, and people actually did think it was alcoholic. It's not. It's just a cherry soda.
I mean, we have root beer up here.
Good cider.
When has anyone been cheerful about root beer?
No, you
Don't ask
you root for root beer, and you're cheerful about cheerwine.
I love root beer, and I love my root beer floats.
Fair.
But if you really want an experience, drink Moxie.
I've heard of this Moxie. I will try it someday.
Is that like a power drink?
No, it's a soda. It's the soda of the state of Maine, and one would say it's an acquired taste. One could also say, I am terrified to taste it. So, yeah. I think Bit cut out. Probably crashed again.
So have you not tasted Moxie before?
Oh, no, I will not drink the Moxie. I'm not going to touch that. I don't like
Sugar
dark
load?
soda. Like I don't like Pepsi, and this is like that to an extreme from what I've heard.
I might like this.
I also heard it's like maybe
Moxie.
bitter or something. I don't know. You can get that on Amazon too. Hey, Amazon, want someone to be sponsored? By the way, you can subscribe to me with Twitch Prime.
Organization.
Actually, I'm pretty sure you cannot subscribe to me, so.
Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. To give us more exposure, guys. We're hungry for that YouTube fame.
All those 5 viewers.
Have so much ad revenue.
I don't even get ad revenue anymore. They changed their thing that you have to have like 100,000 subscribers or something. It's like, okay, cool. See ya.
It's not worth it anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I was getting like 30 cents a month. So, yay.
Like, maybe 2.5 Hershey bars a year.
Yeah. Not like I go through that in 2.5 days, but, you know.
Dark soda, you probably wouldn't like Cheerwine. Like I said, it's like just cherry Coke.
I've never tried cherry Coke.
But Southern. Hurt.
I don't know. I might like cherry Coke. I don't know. I used to hate all soda when I was younger. The fizz, just, I couldn't deal with it.
I got so addicted to it.
I'm not addicted. I could quit at any time. Right.
And death protests too much.
I'm not! I mean, I'm perfectly fine. Unbenching the Kench. I don't know what that means.
You were gonna say.
Hey,
Hello.
are you alive?
I am alive.
Cool. It's always a positive.
You're just in time. Alright, we ready to keep going?
I think so.
Rightio, so you guys are back at Pascali. Just received an invitation from Guard Captain Hockett to go and meet up with him at some point. But you also have this new fancy medicine and some direction from the Elkin Lord. What would you like to do now?
This only cures diseases and poisons, right?
Yep.
Do we
And
have
use HP.
do we have any reason to think the High Priestess has a disease or a poison?
You have no idea. You probably have to have a closer look at that.
Yeah. My thought is she's got like some sort of magical curse or something, which this wouldn't do anything for.
Can't know unless you find out.
So my vote is to talk to Hockett and then go see the priestess afterwards.
Rightio. Is that,
Yeah.
how does
I
anyone
agree.
else think?
You good with that,
Austin?
Jennifer?
Is your mic cutting out again?
Yeah, I don't hear. I see the green bar, but I don't see her. I don't.
Yeah, I think your mic's going a bit weird again.
Feel free to type, by the way, if you're having trouble. Well, we got 2 votes to go see the guard captain.
This is true.
Mulling
Austin,
it
if you're still... Oh, there you are.
Nope.
after mulling it over for a few moments, like Juniper nods, placing her vote in. To do.
Cute. So I guess that means we're going to the barracks. Bye vote. So you guys remember the way. Moving through town, it definitely does not seem as desperate as it once was when you guys arrived. And everyone is starting to go about their business with a bit more hope in their eyes. There's still, as you notice when people are speaking with each other on the streets, there's a sort of a little bit of attention to it. And especially when you guys pass and they notice you, they seem to sort of hush a little bit. But there's nothing, especially much more than that in their attitudes. At the barracks itself, it's not quite as much as a rush. A lot of the guards still look quite exhausted, but they don't look like they've been, awake for days on end now. A whole bunch of them have had good sleeps overnight, and they're going about their business in less of a rush and, with a bit more harmony to it.
Lily's gonna
And,
just march.
okay.
Lily's just gonna march straight to the guard captain. You summoned us?
Excuse me, what did you just say?
We just got a note from one of your guards saying that you were calling for us.
That's right. Yes, come in. Excuse me, I thought you said something else.
Summoned us.
He raises an eyebrow. His mustache twitches, but he doesn't move on from that.
Right. I brought you here today because in the investigations around the Hobgoblin camp, cleaning it up, finding what evidence we can, and reappropriating what was stolen from us, we have come across a bit of extra information. Some information that I believe could be useful to you. This Omen of Nethys, as the townsfolk have dubbed it, we've also been investigating that at times, questioning some regular suspects in the crowds and around about the closer parts of the ceremony. There appears to be no signs of earthly hands in the incident as of yet.
Wait, hold
Our
up.
best guess still...
1 second, Guard Captain Hockett. You said you have regular suspects for people who take over and make other people say things for this? Who would these regular suspects be?
There are a few troublemakers about town. They have, like we said, there doesn't appear to be any signs of their involvement, and I will be honest, their previous history has not expressed anything of this magnitude before, which is why it is still a stretch, but it is a lead that we had, and we followed it to no end. Just street urchins. One of them is an apprentice mage of one of the nobles here, and is a bit of a spoilt brat, if you'll pardon my honesty. But there is no indication that any of them were involved. It appears, as best as we can describe so far, as to be an act of a god. And so we have been focusing more of our efforts upon the Hobgoblin raiders and the aftermath thereof. It just so happens that while rifling through the belongings that the Fightmouth, their leader, had left behind, we came across this. And he unscrolls a rather thick yak hide, and on it is a bunch of writing that you don't understand. It appears to be in Goblin. And he slides from underneath it a more clean parchment with some common written on it. And he continues, we translated it this morning, and there are a few clues on it which do not mean anything to us, but might mean something to one or more of you. And I'll just unlock that handout.
I assume this is the Clucky handout? Oh, there we are. Okay. They use yak for everything, don't they?
It's a useful animal.
Fightmouth.
And you do recall that the dangerous-looking woman with the hellhound, that hobgoblin, that was their leader, Dalgo Fang, the Fightmouth.
I'll just read this out loud in case it's hard to read on YouTube. Fightmouth Dalgo Fang. The portents tell of a coming peril for the Kingslaves. Warlock men speak of what they need. Send all captured Canolings alive to the Horde Heart at your greatest sprint, even if the legs of their escorts die. Your previous orders stand until the next marshalling cry. Be prepared to march, even in your sleep. Kanos shall rise again. War Chief Trolk Thunder. Kanos.
Does this Kanos mean anything to you?
Eifer, what do you know about your heredity?
Nothing, except that I was found on Yellow's doorstep.
You guys may roll history or religion.
Because they called you a Canaling.
What were the two things?
Religion or history. Oh, nice.
Okay, so I made that a DC 20 check for a reason, but Max recognizes it somehow. So does Juniper, actually.
Nice.
Actually, it makes sense that Juniper knows this, because this is something of a story which, in her profession, she would be more exposed to anyway. You don't know specifically of any being that's called Kanos, Juniper, but it does sound very, very close to another figure of of some stories that you know relatively well. It's you remember someone called Canis, spelt like with a K and a double N. I'll just copy and paste it. The funny thing about Canis is that it's actually a story from Rato, the land where Othukkax lives. He would have had an easier DC understanding this one. But, yeah, no relation to Thanos. But the tale has come to your ears through various bardic networks, so you as a performer you probably have toured alongside temporarily storytellers, that kind of thing. Just, you know, as sometimes if you're on freelance performance, you get hired out to a very big like feast or occasion where a number of performers are there, and you heard this story from one of the other performers. But the story of Canis is about Canis, this guy. He's an immortal demigod who was this very ruthless and bloodthirsty tyrant who invaded the land and the sea with otherworldly monsters. And it's a very sort of sappy, sort of Beauty and the Beast-like tale, but he was only stopped in his invasions by this heroine named Unari, who agreed to marry him and turned his heart away from bloody conquest. And it's a fairly stock standard story. It's got different tellings of it with different names, but this one was, as far as you can tell, the original.
Okay. Alrighty. I believe I know something about this. When you hang around as many different, festivities as I do, you tend to hear a lot of things. What to say from here?
What have you heard?
Mostly just that old story.
So you just recap the story for us, basically?
Sorry. The story of Canis. Immortal demigod. Used to be quite the terror. Unfortunately, story ends kind of boring. Some lady shows up. He falls in love. She steers him away from the path of evil. I think her name was Nari, something like that. All these things end so blandly. They always start out so entertaining with bloodshed and chaos. Then it gets turned down the path of, peaceful, bloodless resolve. Can you even really say about that?
Do you mention anything about the otherworldly invaders?
The way the story went, it didn't really describe Canis's servants in any academic terms or specific terms. They were just sort of beasts with these really exaggerated descriptions, like claws and tentacles and big eyes and holes where there shouldn't be and bad breath, that kind of thing. They were just these savage creatures that were the epitome of his evil and disgusting ways.
Okay, yeah. Just savage monsters from world. Limbs not where they're supposed to be. Instead, monster parts on, where honestly,
So
creatures you could see.
So basically, what you're telling us is this Kanos guy is probably going to bring a whole bunch of creatures from some other world here if he rises again.
He likes to do things, yes.
And I sure as heck am not going to marry him. So, the thing that made me wonder, they called Eifer a canneling, and the rest of us they didn't call a canneling. So what I'm wondering is, what makes Eifer special? And the only thing I can think of is that you're a tiefling. I mean, you're special
Max,
for more reasons.
Max sort of whacks you on the arm, on the upper arm with the back of his hand.
Ow. Hey, I'm just being honest here.
I've noticed other things.
Yeah, she's special in a lot of ways to all of us, okay? But like, either it's because of that, or I don't know. She uses magic, but I don't think that makes much sense. They wouldn't easily be able to tell that at a glance, would they?
You have a point. Perhaps the only way they can know whether something is a canneling is whether they're a tiefling.
So if cannelings and tieflings are the same thing, it sounds like they're named sort of after this Kanos guy. So,
At least amongst the goblins.
so is Kanos a tief?
It's hard to say. Demigods are not of the same form as the rest of us mortals. We still do not know what makes a tiefling the way they are. They come out of circumstances that are hardly related to much of anything at all once you bring them all into consideration at once. You hear the stories about various corruptions and things, but from what I've seen, it happens just as often that bad luck and bad omens come along with a tiefling as good luck and good things. Doesn't have a pattern.
But what seems to be the same in all the stories, whether they're true or not, who knows, is there's some sort of weird otherworldly interference, right?
Don't know. You could suggest that, but there are some cases I've seen where it's utterly mundane. The thing about otherworldly influences is sometimes they do not play upon the same rules that Pharasma sets in her weave, as the Abadics say. It's more clear to say that some things occur in the past that do not have any echoes except in the far-flung future. That's always been my best guess on how tieflings came about. Could be that there's always been influence, but it simply has not manifested till now, or until tieflings are born.
Well, I think the only way we're going to know more is if we try to figure out what this Canis guy is. And maybe we can go from there and trying to figure out how to stop it.
Right.
To list of things to look up at the library.
Yeah, hopefully they have some good books here, because we are not heading back home.
The Captain Hockett clears his throat a bit.
If you want my interpretation of things. Perhaps this old warlord's thirsting for bloodline might have a connection to this story. Sounds like an old warlord, very bloodthirsty indeed. It's just mere conjecture. I'm not well read as Father Maximilian or the priests are. But perhaps the priests themselves might be able to shed some light on this matter. I do hear that the High Priestess has regained consciousness. It was about half an hour ago I received word.
Oh, no.
She is still bedridden, though. You might want to speak with her.
You're talking about the line in the prophecy, right?
Yes.
Warlords and stuff. And then they say warlock men here. Do you know any warlocks?
Warlock is it's our word that translates the hobgoblin societal role of shamanic individuals, those who do deals with various dark pagan powers, and that is how they receive their magic. They are not creatures of faith; they are creatures of cunning and bargaining with such things. There might be some resemblance that they have with the miracles that are performed by the temples of Abadar and Eristil, but I can assure you that there is very little in the way of similarity in the details.
So, warlocks need tieflings. Alive.
The correspondence would suggest as much.
Can I roll an insight?
Go for it.
I'm gonna.
What are you trying to work out?
I've got an idea, but I have like 10 wisdom, and I don't think Lily can come up with this idea on her own.
Roll.
Yep. Okay. So I'm not gonna say that idea. I'll let someone else come up with it.
Yep, so you have this string of thought in your head, but then, like, Clucky just starts tweeting this beautiful song out of nowhere and just screeches, and it breaks your concentration. You just forget.
I thought I had something. Anyways, let's go. Let's go, guys.
Clucky. Shush, Clucky.
Cluck you.
Lay down.
Okay. Well, I will... Guard Captain Hockett speaks up again.
I will leave you with that information to do with what you wish.
Can we take this?
A translation or the hide itself?
Probably the translation. The hide doesn't do us much good.
By all means, I have other copies.
And one other thing.
Yes?
Please have your guards refer to me as Lily, not Lady Calwin.
I could do as much, Lady Colwyn, though if they did so in the presence of someone who knows you from your court, they could still be punished. I'm sure you understand the formalities.
I have no formality here. I'm just an envoy.
That is a contradiction, my lady. I'm afraid that... Let me put it this way. You have the blood of the Duke running through your veins. Whether you like it or not, that cannot be drained from you without killing you. And having it drained from you would be the only means by which we would not give you deference in some form or fashion. That is the responsibility of the blue-blooded, my lady.
The only thing that separates me from any of the other people here is that I happen to be born into a cushy castle, and the rest of you are born in just this town. That's the only difference.
You may think so, my lady.
I don't
No.
deserve that
Yourself,
title.
I'm not from here.
If you ask someone of the likes of Sir Keith, the person you graciously helped out of his chains in the Hobgoblin encampment, he would still have something to say which might might end in the disciplinary action of my men. If you do care about their station, then I would insist that you bear the weight of this convention.
She just kind of grumbles.
Max pipes up and said, "Just play the game. It's something they have to do."
They do not have to, but... Anyways, we shall leave now. Thank you very much, Captain.
Until next time, Lily.
And NC.
Where to next, guys?
It just so happens that the temple and the temple's library are annexed to each other, so unless you're going back to meet someone else, then that's the direction you can go.
Library would be the best bet.
Let's take Lavender, the sheep, to the library.
Yankovico Yov and his surviving goat kids are out in the fields at the moment. Really shouldn't have them in the town like this.
Alright, let's head on to the temple.
Yep. On your way out, actually, you hear some clopping of hoofs, and at the gate, a familiar voice waves you down. As soon as I can reveal the token. Ah, I was glad to be able to find you. I was just about to be heading out. The now fully armed and armoured, cleaned and properly groomed half-orc Sir Elmo Keeve, astride his new faithful steed, sidles up next to where you guys are walking. I just wanted to, before I leave, thank you again for your assistance out of that predicament back at the encampment. You fought honourably, and I dare say that I may have died without your help.
Likewise, Sir Keeve, you fought with great distinction.
It is but my duty, Lady Colwyn. Just as I was heading out, I have a number of messages. I'm heading back to Semark to visit with your father and report on the situation, as well as to assume my post again. I was wondering if you had any messages you would like to send back to Semark itself. If you have any friends there you'd like to let know.
Tell my father mission accomplished, but we still have work to do.
Very well. Anyone else? I can wait for a little while longer if you need time to pen down a message on parchment.
No, my life back there is, I think that's fine for me. Thank you.
Maximilian steps up and asks quietly, "Sir Keeve, do you mind if we speak in private? I have a message for the Duke." Absolutely, sir." And they sequester themselves. But before he disappears around a corner, Maximilian looks around to you guys and says, "I'll meet you at the temple. You go on ahead."
If you insist. Sir
Too long.
Keeve, you look like you belong there on top of that horse.
Who are you referring to?
Sir Keith.
Sorry, I didn't get those people speaking at once.
She said to Sir Keith that he looks like he belongs there on top of the horse. Like, it's a good spot for him.
He, perhaps oblivious to whatever undertones you give, brings his fist up to his plate mail breastplate. Goes, "A knight's place is on top of his steed, as I very much would like to think."
She gives him a short bow. Let's go, guys.
Alrighty.
As you say.
What was that bit?
Nothing. Just we go. Let's go.
Did you have any messages to send to anyone, Bit?
Nope.
Okay. So you guys head to the temple. Let me just get my notes for this one.
That one hurt a little. Thanks for twisting that knife, DM. I don't even know if you realize that, but that one hurt a little bit.
Which thing specifically? I'm going to write this down for later.
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
I'll just say asking if they have any messages for anyone else.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm getting it. So, the Abbatic Temple of Pascali is much like most Abbatic temples. It's this tall, imposing grey stone structure with, ornate, careful designs that stretch up vertically, making it look plenty tall. It's a sort of regular Gothic cathedral type aesthetic that you'd expect. Very imposing. A bit smaller than the one in Samark that you've been to for your services and stuff, Lily and Eifer. But still the same style. As you step inside past the big double doors, it's very echoey. There's smooth walls that every so often the bricks have these bas-reliefs of little passages from the holy texts, and in these tall stained glass windows there are depicted images of the Abbatic pantheon and various familiar stories from those texts. There's Abadar in his golden armor. He's, the strong bearded wise human. Asmodeus, he's red-skinned, long-fingered and grotesquely proportioned, but he's cunning. There's Desna, Night Sky, this beautiful long-haired woman with blue and yellow butterfly wings. Aristil, he's tall and stiff and he has the head of an elk. He dresses in hides. There's Iomade, the knight in shining armor. She strikes down evil with an unstoppable zeal. Irori is gaunt, hairless, and scantily dressed, but very peaceful, floats in a bubble that's untouchable by the world. Pharasma, with a grey-green skin, a small smile, a weird alien disposition, and this endless, huge mane of white hair that curls and trails around everything. And finally, Nethys, who is two-faced, grinning wildly and wielding terrifying power with one hand and a gentle touch with the other. He's split down the middle in a similar way to the priestess was, with one side dark and crackled and flaming, and the other side sort of perfect and serene and pale. And walking up the aisle, you are greeted by a priest with his hands clasped. He's wearing sort of the long white robes of a cleric, and he addresses you all and says, welcome, heroes of our town. I'm afraid our services are stretched rather thin with the recovery effort, but what can I do for you all?
We're actually wondering what we can do for you. The High Priestess, is she okay?
Oh, she is well enough. She woke up not too long ago, still feeling quite weak and woozy, but she's rather taken by the occurrences of earlier today. She has been reading in bed, mostly. But
Have any of the priests checked her if she's been poisoned or contracted any disease?
yes, we have tried every trick that we have to diagnose her. We are not quite sure if there are any long-lasting ill effects other than just a simple weakness of the body, but our own methods have not turned up any further poor health or signs thereof.
So I don't think that the ointment we got is going to help her out much.
The ointment?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just thinking out loud. Could we see your library?
He sort of looks around a bit surprised and of course. They'll be open to such peoples as yourselves. Are you looking for anything in particular? And he starts walking to lead you over to it.
We're looking for information that might help us find out what's going on with that omen.
Well, your mind is aligned then with the High Priestess, I'm afraid. She's taken some of the more pertinent books up to her own chambers, though I think there are a few that might still interest you, which could lead you in the right direction.
Have you ever heard of, what was that guy's name again? Canis?
Canis? I remember my brother once told me he went to a stage play which had a story with a character named Canis, but I cannot say I have seen it.
Could you point us in the direction of information on him?
Yes, I believe we have a number of stories. I'll show you to the section. And he takes you off to an annex of the temple itself. It's a much quieter part of the temple, not echoey like the main chamber. It's carpeted and rather muted. Not especially large, maybe like the size of a small apartment, but all the walls are bedecked in books of various colors, spines, and titles. He runs his fingers over one of the sections, sort of mouthing to himself what the titles are on the spines, and then pulls one out that's particularly large, holds it in his arms, and opens up to the first few pages. This is good luck. This particular book is a compendium of tales, just love stories and such. I believe, is this the one you're looking for? And he points to an index which has the title Canis and Unari.
Now, this is important. Are there any pictures in this book? Because Lily's going to get super bored.
There is one picture per title.
Oh, good.
So, yeah, there'll be one picture pertinent to your investigations, but other pictures for other stories.
This might be it. Let's take a look.
Mm-hmm. So you take it over to a table, thumbing through it. You come across a couple of the pictures that are interesting, to say the least. There's one of them of a man who is running away from a dragon with a ring. There's another one where, the man is a halfling, by the way.
Of course.
There is another one where there's this couple that is locked together in a sort of Mills and Boon title page pose, with the man with his washboard abs flapping in the breeze with an open shirt. There's another one where it's,
I thought you said this was a wholesome library here.
I don't read those books. There's another one with a sailor who's who's holding the hands of a mermaid in the water of a cove. And finally, there is a rather violent scene of a man who towers above a bunch of misshapen humanoids. He has this wreath of what looks to be some kind of leafy orange, olive branch around his head that's made out of solid gold. His skin is completely grey, and he's wearing this ornate leather armor and long red cape. He has this short sword by his side. He seems to be laughing genially, but he has these really long, sharp canines, like going up and down. And apart from all of those details, he's actually quite a handsome fellow. But he's reveling in this scene of destruction around him. And on the next page is the title, Canis and Denari.
Does Canis appear to look at all like a tiefling?
He does not have horns. He does not have a tail. But funnily enough, near to the bottom of the actual scene is what appears to be a marching column on Canis's behind Canis that are hobgoblins.
Do we have a picture of Inari?
Inari does not appear to be in the scene.
Is there a description of Inari in the book?
Yeah, there is. She is described as having sort of half swarthy skin with a sort of glittering silver shimmer with streaks of green going through her hair, kind of like how you describe Prince Othukkax and his servants, like those people from Rato. Except her hair is its own color, but it's still, exaggerated in its, purple prose describing her beauty and the way she caught everyone's eyes, and her virtuous nature and all that stuff.
All right. Anyone else have any questions about it?
No.
Lily really doesn't want to read this book. Um, so many books in this library. Ugh. Fine, I guess. Any further information on like any connection between Canis and otherworldly beings besides that he commanded them? Like, did he communicate with, I'll just say, like, demons or devils or anything like that? Is there anything along those lines? Or fey creatures?
If you read the story itself, there are allusions to Canis consorting with demons who were attracted by his greed and his malice, and that they sent him the servants that he used to invade the earth and the sea. But looking through the library for more sort of esoteric works on demons and old gods and things like that, all of the tomes which are pertinent seem to be missing from the shelves, and the priest wrings his hands and apologetically reminds you that most of the pertinent stuff is up in the High Priestess's chamber, that she is reading them.
You have any ideas, Juniper?
Not off the top of my head at the moment.
I feel like if Father Max were here, he'd have something to say.
True. Question though. What caused quarrel with why did he start his destruction before Nari showed up?
What started it?
Sounded like it was greed and wanting to have power.
It just seemed very simple.
I've got to think about this now.
Well, even the best of us can be swayed by the simplest of... Why is it taking him so long? Father Max should be back here by now.
To go look for him?
No, I think he specifically would not want me to go look for him.
He is needed.
Maybe you could look for him. You're able to sneak around.
Or you could flex some of your muscles and learn how to be properly stealthy.
Lily just pounds the splint mail that she is wearing, and the clang echoes a little bit. You want to try it with this?
On the other side of the temple, just priests look up from what they were reading and just sort of shudder a little bit.
You want to try stealthing around with this?
If we can strip it off.
And
Look, I already did that once today. I'm not going to strip in the middle of a church. And she's saying this rather loudly.
The priest just blushes.
please don't. Right. So you are insisting that I have not known him as long as you. You're insisting that I follow him in by whatever he may be doing and interrupt him.
Oh, no. I just want you to listen to what he's telling Sir Keith, and then tell me if it has anything to do with me.
Guess this could be kind of fun.
But we can either go seek Father Max's aid, or I think the priest said that the books we need are in the room upstairs.
Yeah, but that's the easy way.
The priestess would not mind speaking with you if you are investigating the same things that she is.
I'm sure that Father Max would want to talk to her as well, though.
Be not conceding.
How about it, Juniper? You wanna go find him and bring him back?
Oh, say I do this, and I do interrupt him, and oh wait, you actually want me to bring him back?
Oh yes. After
Do
you
that.
get a little bit of information, if you can.
See that's what I was talking about.
Mhm.
Expect me to go out and spy on him, and then how am I supposed to know once I get back that you won't spill whatever information and tell him that I was secretly spying on him before I confronted him?
That's a good point. You're just gonna have to trust me.
It's in my hands before I go out and do a favor. Roll a kind of just to see if Lily is lying.
Do you want me to roll deception to counter?
Intuition. So well then. Yikes.
So, Lily, roll insight. So, knowing this, let me just get this scenario straight, because things are cutting in and out. Juniper, are you trying to deceive Lily or find out if Lily's lying about something?
Yeah, I think she was trying to find out if Lily was lying.
Yeah, sorry. I might have rolled
So-
the wrong one.
The deception insight should have flipped, I think.
Yeah, other way around.
But she still got a natural 1 and I rolled higher. My deception
roll for
score
insight?
is 3
Go
higher.
ahead and roll insight. Yeah, because
My,
Sorry.
my deception score is 3 higher.
Okay.
But she rolled a natural 1.
You, Juniper, like, you've not been around Lily for an awfully long time, but you have sort of picked up a bit on her various social cues and, you know, tensions and that kind of thing. So, as far as you've experienced, you do not perceive that Lily is trying to deceive you, and she seems to be an honest sort, always, you know, going, oh yeah, don't call me Lady Corwin, call me Lily, all this, you know, honourable and down-to-earth stuff. You have no reason to doubt her.
Alright.
But she is also very curious.
Very curious. I'll perform this for you once, but you owe me one.
Collect anytime.
I suppose.
Lily gives her
Figure
a
out
wink.
a time to. We should decide on a time and meeting area to go over what if he said anything about you.
Okay.
Yeah, that could be settled later. Off I go.
Eifer's gonna lay a hand on your shoulder and say, give it your best shot, and cast guidance.
Sounds good.
Nice.
Okay, so Juniper, are you heading sort of back in the direction of the barracks to try and find Max?
Yeah, looks like it. Token over here.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So, yeah, how are you approaching this? Are you just gonna like sneak around and try and eavesdrop, or what's the plan?
What would I need to roll? A dexterity or?
If you're sneaking around, you would probably want to go for stealth, and you're probably going to get higher than these guys' passive perceptions.
See.
Plus 1d4.
And yeah, add 1d4 for the guidance if you want to pop that on there. I suppose it's the next one, so yeah. So yeah, just roll an extra 1d4 and we can add it to the number there.
Okay. Sorry, where's that?
Just do 2 open brackets, the square brackets, then type 1d4, and 2 closed square brackets.
Yeah, you don't have to press any buttons on the character sheet for this one.
Brackets 1d4.
You want 2
double.
open.
So all good.
You want double brackets instead of a single bracket.
1.
There you go.
Alrighty, so a final stealth roll of 21. That'll be plenty. So you slink your way up to the barracks. Because this is a fairly small town, the transit between the barracks and the temple is only like a few minutes. So as you're sneaking around and trying to act casual in the open, but still trying to like keep out of sight of where Sakiv and Max went, you eventually get to an empty stable that's sort of closed off mostly, and you peek around the corner and spot the two standing opposite each other in conversation, and you stay around the corner out of sight and strain your ears to hear what they're saying. And it appears that you're in the middle of their conversation, so there's a bit of context lost between you. But basically, let me see if I can improv this out. So let me get this straight. There is another Saturnight that you'd like me to inform to come here? That's correct. Right, I got the name, I got the description. I think I can do that for you, Sir Max. If I may ask, though, I know you've given me a sealed message here. I would not want to impeach your honour by breaking it and reading it myself. You want to say, don't try and do that. I know you're an honest type to keep. Right. What I was coming upon was to actually, if I may ask, why you're summoning this person to you. Max pauses for a bit. There may be some bigger occurrences coming up soon, of which I will need to be ready to stand and mitigate, or at least prevent for long enough that other matters can be solved first. Suffice it to say, I may not be able to remain with Lady Colwyn and her entourage for too much longer, but they will need the extra help of a priestly sort, and there is one with the talent and with the lack of agenda and connections, which I think will suit. And she may be of great help. I trust her. She is talented, and she is visited by Sarenrae herself earlier in life. I believe that it's the best choice for this matter. Right, I understand. Duty calls and all. If I may ask, though, Max interrupts him. You may not. I think that's enough to tell you. Very well, sir. I will leave you with that. And unless there's any other business that you have, it does seem that your lady is quite a bit more ferocious than, well, perhaps her reputation precedes her. I heard she was quite a troublemaker back at the keep. That she was, but at this juncture, I think we'll need to have some more time to let her come into her own. And what's the business with the others, can I say? Because I never heard much about them, but they do seem to be quite talented folk. I just wonder what the relation is. Oh, the others... Well, that performer woman was just someone we met along the way. I'm not sure much about her. But I do not think she's any particular danger. The prince is... We've kept him around as something as a foil to help the others to learn. But I think he has a noble heart indeed, in his core heart. We shall see whether his foreign culture manifests itself in any different way, but I think it's a learning experience in any case. And as for Eifer, the tiefling, yes, the tiefling. Lily needs a friend with her, but there's also something else. Various little portents, little omens. I need her close to people I trust. You afraid she's going to get kidnapped like the other tieflings around this part? Not just that, Sir Keith. But I do not have a definite answer for you. Very well. I think I've taken up enough of your time, Sir Maximilian. I should be off. All the best to you in your travels. And I hope to see you again soon. You can count on my help, any of you, should you need it. An honourable knight does repay his dues, and I do not believe that we shall be. I do not believe that we shall be without another meeting in the future. As you say, Sakiv. Godspeed. And Sakiv mounts his horse. You can hear, and Juniper, you have to scurry off before they exit the stable. But
to make a grand escape, or
no, I think you keep the previous stealth roll to keep out of sight. Maximilian starts walking very briskly back to the temple. Or towards the temple, not back to it.
Juniper returned to the temple as well.
Mm-hmm. Soon enough. What were you guys doing in the meantime, Eifer and Lily?
Making the priest blush. I mean, reading the story about Canis.
Mm-hmm. So, much like I described before, the story is very sort of Beauty and the Beast-esque, very sappy, very sort of simple romance stuff. You know, if you haven't read much romance before, then it's a very heartfelt and, you know, tug you by the strings story, but if you've read some other romance before, you realize that it's very stock standard. And but it does have a few interesting twists that you don't really expect. You get the feeling that it's a story which would be better enjoyed in the form of a play, a performance, or just sort of reading quietly on your own so you can probably get absorbed into it. As it is at the moment, it's kind of bland. Apart from, you know, what Juniper said, the chaos and destruction and bloodshed, that stuff's kind of cool. And
Can I flip back to that story with the washboard abs?
Yeah, sure.
What's that story about?
That story is about a
Lily's gonna read it out loud.
Mm-hmm. It's a story about a noble prince who goes to a foreign land to secure a political marriage and gets in a love triangle between his betrothed princess and her loyal handmaiden, and falls very madly in love with the handmaiden, and it becomes quite a sordid drama between the three with friendships and romances and things like that. And it doesn't really go very many places. It seems to very much emphasize a lot of its content on the more saucy scenes, and especially by the time you get to the passage which you read out loud, you start really having a hankering for just sort of freshly baked bread and just sort of butter and jam and just the steaminess of it, the smell of it.
You know,
that's
Eifer,
what you get out of the scene.
You know what would make this even better? If the handmaiden was a tiefling. Does Lily see the priest get slightly more red as she reads the story?
The priest at this point, like halfway, as soon as you got like 2 sentences into the first scene of that book, he says, "It's like I will be back in the main chamber if you need me. Just call me out." He beats a hasty retreat.
Uh-huh. Oh well. Well, that was fun while it lasted, Eifer.
And soon after you finish that passage, the door opens again, with Max coming through.
Ah, and there's our handsome Father Max coming.
Did you find anything useful?
She shows him the book, takes the book back, then flips it to the Canis page, and then shows it to him again.
He squints and then carefully takes the book and has a closer look. Does it have any mention of hobgoblins?
She points to the picture.
This is a very, let's see, he flips to the front and checks the year. This is a very early edition. Perhaps there is clues in this. Did you find anything in the text itself?
Not too much. I was trying to figure out who the two people are and see if I can figure out more of their background, but it sounds like that the lady, what was her name again? Unari.
Unari.
It sounds like she might be from the same land that Othukkax is from. Maybe.
Interesting. Where is Juniper, by the way? Perhaps we could ask her where this story comes from.
Well, I sent her to go look for you, but I guess you must have crossed paths or something. Hopefully she'll be back soon. You were gone a long time.
I told you I would be meeting you back at the temple.
Yeah, but it was a long time. I was worried. I wanted to go up and talk to the priestess.
Well, I'm here now. Juniper, whereabouts are you at the moment?
Just heading my way back, right back to the. She stopped by to grab a drink. Right up to the temple.
Mm-hmm.
I'm picturing you walking into the temple with a mug, by the way.
She has a mug. She's like sipping it.
Perfect.
The priests give you odd looks, but you don't get stopped, and able to reunite with everyone.
It's like, oh,
so good.
Father Max, you arrived before I did. Not cross paths. I would have brought you back myself with some company.
I see. He looks pointedly at your drink. You should probably finish that before we speak to the High Priestess.
Look.
Chug.
You managed to get it down.
She finishes the last gulp and just immediately slams the mug down.
Very well. There's quite a talent you have there.
Lily gives an approving nod.
Thank you.
Is there anything else in this library we should be concerned for? Or shall we speak to the High Priestess?
There might be, but they told us she took all the good books, so we probably ought to just head out there.
Okay, so you guys exit the library, catch up with the priest in the main chamber, and he ushers you up, and then Eifer glomps Lily with the token, and then you're led upstairs to another annex on the other side of the temple that appears to be the manse where the priests take residence. In the master bedroom, or the mistress bedroom in this case, I suppose, you are led up, and there's a knock on the. You knock on the door, and there's an answer. Do come in, and you are beheld by a scene of a woman, a middle-aged elven woman, in bed. She looks quite weak and pale and sort of half present, but she's sitting up in bed in a nightgown and, with the sheets covering her legs and a book on her lap, a rather large book that she's looking up from. She has a sweet smile, even though she does look quite tired, and she recognizes your faces. This is the same woman who performed the ceremony and gave you your valor brooches. She says, "Oh, hello again. It's very nice of you very nice to see you. I do not believe we were formally introduced before the ceremony. I am High Priestess Jacintha Demonia. I run this temple, but I suppose you're probably wondering what happened out there in the ceremony." Not quite that spelling. Just a sec.
Demonia, okay. Lily is going to give another kind of formal short bow and say, I'm sorry that this, whatever it is, happened to you. Not that there's much I could have done to stop it.
I am fortunate that I am as well as I am, I suppose. And it's quite a rare occurrence to be visited by a god, even if it is the god of madness and knowledge.
Are you feeling, forgive my abruptness, but are you feeling all there or mad in any way? Any lingering effects?
No. I do feel myself. I've just been trying to find out what the significance of all this was. I've been poring over any sorts of texts where this might have happened before in history. Of Nethys coming to speak with any people. I've studied history and tales quite extensively. I'm trying to retrace my steps.
Do you know the words that you spoke?
Curious thing, I was told about what I said after the fact, but it was like, after that ceremony, this unstoppable will overcoming me, like I was trying to hold back a sneeze that I couldn't resist, except instead of sneezing, I felt as though my entire consciousness was just pulled out of my nose all at once. And I blacked out. I woke up in this bed. I can't remember anything. I cannot make heads or tails of it.
So, we talked to a friend of ours about the wall of wood. I think we have a lead in that direction. And there's also the old warlords, and we think we have a lead in that direction. What have you come up with?
Well, it's just the thing. The words that were said, I know I've read something like that before. It reminded me of something I read back in Kurum during my novicehood. That was decades ago, but I do so clearly remember the text in front of my eyes. There's this old book of tales in the collection at Kurum's Cathedral, the county capital, the old city that is. It's rather more extensive than our library here. We're quite modest here. But it cannot be... How do I put this? This idea of this pact and a wall of wood, it smacks to me of something that I read about old times, old chieftains, before Esden was unified. And it cannot be a coincidence that Nethys spoke during a ceremony in your honor. This is a small town, an insignificance in comparison to the greater kingdom. I think it was all focused here on those present, and perhaps because I am not very well of health, perhaps if you had the time, I would implore you to go to Kurum as soon as you can and try to get to the bottom of this with the records they have, because they have histories there which stretch back before the faith was formalized in Abadism. And if the boundaries between worlds are weakening, that could make for dire dangers ahead. I would rather not let this slide as if it's a casual matter or some happenstance.
Lily nods as if she understands what she's saying. What do I know about Kurum?
Kurum is the city upon which it's the capital of this county. You're currently in County Kurum. It's a walled city, rather large and defensible. It has a solid keep. You visited there a couple of times before during your childhood for like noble feastings and socialism, that kind of thing. Well, socialism is the wrong word. Socialite stuff, doing social stuff. You hated the place because it was basically full of snooty nobles and you didn't really get to do anything fun.
Oh, she found time.
Yeah, I'm sure she found time to do all sorts of weird mischief. But The count there is a vassal of your father. It's a larger town. You could actually describe it as a walled city. And yeah, there is a larger temple to Abadar and Abadism in that city.
I assume not much for Rasticism in the city, though.
There is a small temple in a different district, but Erasticism is the less dominant of the religions there.
Okay. What does she know besides the noble side of things? Should I roll history?
Yeah, sure.
Not bad.
Okay, so overhearing about the various goings on, you know that Kurum is well known as a town where there are a lot of tanneries. There's a district where a lot of leather is produced. It's sort of the hub for the hunting industry, which skirts the autumn wood and various things there. It's sort of where things are traded and auctioned off and that kind of thing. It's very much a trading center. It has a large market. As for the local culture, you don't really know an awful lot about it. It has the same social strata as most major settlements in the kingdom. There are beggars, there are craftsmen, there are serfs, there are landed people, merchants. And, it's big enough to have centers and bases for most of the sort of factions that you'll find in the kingdom, but it's not as big as Samark, where your home is. It's not as big as the duchy capital, or even the kingdom capital, Torresfort.
And most likely Lily is going to be recognized by anybody of importance there, right?
If she goes around noble circles, then yeah. But if she lays low around away from those crowds, she could probably slide under the radar.
If we go to... how do you spell this place?
I'll write it down.
Killam. Curum, okay. If we go to Curum, what exactly should we be looking for?
There are old histories that you can peruse. They are very delicate archives. You will likely need permission from the high priesthood there in order to gain access to them.
Could you write us a recommendation letter?
Yes, I can. There are sometimes various folks who, I wouldn't say they are jealous of knowledge, but those archives hold very dark secrets in them. Not of the kind that would corrupt your soul, but perhaps would ruin reputations of various families, and they would like to keep those secrets. So do not be surprised if you find yourself confronted by those crowds.
Sounds like a good time. And you have no further idea what this pact is, or what the details of this pact would be?
I only know that it is ancient. It stretches back far, far into the past. Almost forgotten history.
It seems to me that if we made a pact sometime in the past, we would have tried to, I don't know, keep a record of it, so we didn't offend any deities, and maybe have a priestess overtaken by one of these deities. But that seems, that's just what I would have done.
Perhaps they tried. Perhaps it's become hidden for a reason. I cannot know unless you find out. But yes, I will send for some ink and parchment and write you up a letter of recommendation, an endorsement to hopefully get you into those records.
Eifer, you have some ink, don't you? You're a wizard, right? You have a spell book?
I'm not a wizard.
You're not a wizard yet.
Not a wizard yet.
Darn.
I don't have ink.
It's a temple full of ink and parchment. You guys are able to get the letter in short order.
Yeah,
But,
I was just going to have it right on the back of the message for the goblins.
It's just like, oh, here's my letter recommendation. Like, unscrolls it. Fight mouth, Dalgo, fight.
No, the other side, sir. Yeah, that was the plan, though. Where Pharasma's work phrase, would you say Pharasma's the god of fate? So there's like a fraying of fate?
Yes, in the abbatic tradition. Those kinds of allegories tend to, well, in most cases, fate is constant type of, constant in that it's always there. You cannot expect fraying or a breaking of it in most of the sense. The allegories pertaining to Pharasma in particular speak when her work frays or is cut or is rehemmed. It is generally referring to when unusual things happen, things that should not happen but do anyway. You do not have to be worried about a sudden and unexplained end to all things, but simply that the regular rules might not apply at some point or another in the future.
So you're saying we could be walking along and then suddenly we start flying in the air or something?
I've not heard of any stories like that, but I suppose it's not beyond the realm of possibility. All sorts of strange things happen when Pharasma's knits come loose.
Grand.
Indeed, though I suppose not in a good way, if the other portents are to be interpreted as such. 554 potatoes fall from the ceiling.
Would you like a potato?
Spelt with an E on the end.
Potato. Mash 'em, boil 'em, stick 'em in a
stew.
Well, this is all just too much for me to take in at the moment. How far away is Kurum?
A few days. Max pipes up.
So, we either should get going now, or have another rest.
I doubt the mayor would be against us staying for another night if you wish to gain your bearings before we go. What do the rest of you think? Sorry, go on, Bit.
Would it be nice to try to find our friend before we head out, I suppose?
That's
Yeah,
true.
that's all, yeah. So, let's spend the night. And then we can all head out. I'm so glad you're with us, Max, because all this stuff is just going way over my head, and... Ugh.
It's certainly not what I was expecting either.
Alright, let's head back to our rooms, I think.
And, yeah, Mayor Basson is eager to serve you all a nice hearty dinner. Even Juniper. You're getting entertained because you got the heroism badge on as well. You did your part.
Right, I can eat too.
And, yeah. I would say that you guys settle in for the night. Are there any other matters that you wanted to talk with amongst yourselves before you turn in?
Lily would just mention to Juniper whenever you have a chance. Just before they turn in. Kind of hinting that maybe you should come to my room.
Scandalous.
Juniper looks around. Do you have to say it like that?
Would you rather me be a little more open?
Go into your room now.
Alright, so I assume a few minutes after everyone settles in, Lily would meet Juniper and say, "So, what did you find out?"
From what I could overhear of the conversation, seems like they were deep into it. He's unfortunately the letter he's sending out is a sealed one, not to be opened.
Rats.
He's summoning another person.
Okay.
Some sort of female, because it seems like he is planning on leaving soon.
Wait, what?
Or he feels he cannot be here.
What?
Cannot be here for very much longer.
Why is he leaving?
But I did not really catch on to as much. He said that this person should take his place and will need a priestly sort of presence.
Lily just kind of sits down on her bed, looking a little overwhelmed. No, this isn't right. We need him.
Really that special? He seems to think highly of you. Especially seeking out this person, so this person will watch over you in his absence.
There's no real replacement for Father Max, but if he trusts
Say he
her,
would
then
be
I guess
gone.
I have to as well.
Him? He did not say he would be gone forever.
Yes, but it's at the start of when all this is happening, and there's just so much going on, and now he's leaving me.
Gives Lily a sympathetic look and pats her shoulder.
What about you?
There-
Are you gonna stay with us?
For the time being, I can't promise that I won't leave either. I have their reasons for leaving, but for the time being, I rather like hanging around all of you.
And plus, you can't leave until I repay you, right?
She shifts her eyes away from Lily. Honestly, flustered while trying to think of what to say. Quite true. You can't leave until you repaid me.
Right. So,
A round of 5 drinks, then?
not tonight, I think.
Just on the offhand, if you need a drink, you look like you could use one. You know where to find me.
Thank you, Juniper. I think I'd rather be alone for now, though.
Said before, don't tell anyone.
Your secret's safe with me.
A trusting look and then departs. Perhaps after a drink.
They're all leaving me, aren't they?
Aww.
Aw.
Lily goes to bed.
And What else did I have in store? I had one extra thing. So, I did have a combat encounter for the road to Kurum that was going to be committed. I was going to like speed you guys up to it once Prince Othukkax was found, but I let the session slow down so that we could just have a relaxed one this time around, because I think leaving him behind in Pascal is probably not going to be the easiest thing to do.
Well, we need his elephant.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not like I care about him at all. Baka.
So I know it's about half an hour earlier, but actually, you know what? Eifer, you have a dream tonight when you're going to sleep.
Okay.
You sort of, as you're lying awake in bed, just waiting for sleep to come over you, you just have this thought which you can't turn off easily. It just keeps looping over in your head, the word canaling over and over in your head. And then when you finally fall asleep, well, you don't recognize when you got there, but you find yourself standing on like a sort of a steppe type terrain. It's tufts of grass on sort of rolling hills, and very much cold and windy, and without any trees anywhere. And there's nothing but the wind in your ears. For a short while you look around, but on the air there's there's a marching sound, just a clap, clap, clap of hundreds of feet moving on the ground at once. And you eventually triangulate in one of the directions it's coming from, where there's dust and smoke coming up in the air, and cresting the hills is a line of hobgoblins, at first like ones you've seen before, marching forward with the regular marching shouts on their lips, and the same sort of intimidating figure that you figure out, the figures that you saw at the encampment. Behind them, taller than them, are these creatures with huge horns and sort of hunched gaits, wielding these big spears and tridents and axes, and they are trying to keep up with the marching, but the gates are so huge, and they just sort of have this hateful look in their eyes, burning look. Some of them have the faces of like goats and bulls and tigers and things like that, and boars. And some of them are made out of fire, some of them are made out of thorns, and some of them are made out of bones. And they sort of have this wretched smell to them that you can smell from here. And it's so bad that you hear Lily cough from the other room, and you almost wake up and get brought back into the dream.
That wasn't me.
And then cresting the hill behind them is, in vivid detail, towering over all of them, the figure of Canis from the storybook in his long red cape and armor. And he's laughing jolly and merrily, but it's sinister kind of laughter, the kind of laughter that someone would have when burning down the house of their worst enemy, the sort of laughter that you get from someone who's enjoying the suffering before them. And behind you is a voice that It's just a sort of a hum at first, like a hmm. You turn around and find this other towering figure, covered in hides, hefting this wooden axe in both his hands, this battle axe, and with his face covered by this skull of a deer, and he just mumbles, "Hmm, a caneling. Would that be a child or something?" And then something grabs you from behind with a great clawed hand, and you wake up in a cold sweat in the middle of the night.
Eek.
And the next morning we will resume in the next session, I think.
Can I ask for Eifer to roll a perception check?
Sure thing.
Yeah. I was just typing out the dream in the
Sure.
sheet. Alright, insight?
Perception?
Perception?
What are we looking for here?
I'll whisper it.
But I'm the GM.
I'm whispering it to you.
Oh, right. Oh, I see. Yeah. There are mice in the walls. You think it sort of distracts you, especially when you're sort of hyper alert when you wake up. Eifer, you hear a scratching in the walls. But then you hear what sounds to be like maybe a dog crying from outside. Everything seems to be very easy to hear. Everything else is too quiet. Your ears are twitching and everything.
Can I go investigate the dog crying?
Yeah, sure. So you open the window, see if you can listen out a little more closely. And at that point it becomes a bit more clear, because it's not like a dog howling or anything. It's actually quite a bit closer. It was just muffled from the walls, but from the next room over you can hear someone crying. And you do know that in the room next to you is where Lily is staying.
Alright, I'm going to quickly grab my shield and javelin and just kind of walk out and peek into Lily's room, if I can.
Mm-hmm. I'll say you can peek through the keyhole.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really make much out. I assume that. Does Lily have a candle burning at the moment, or is she lights out and
It
trying
would
to get
be
to sleep?
lights out.
Yeah, so there's a bit of moonlight that's lighting up some sheets that are sort of fidgeting, but there's no sign of trouble in the room. Can't really make out much more than that.
Lily? I'm gonna hush, like a hush shout.
Lily's gonna get up and go to the door and open it.
You see Lily in front of you in her night clothes, with probably a red face, red rings around her eyes, and tears streaked down them.
You alright?
Oh. No, I'm not. And she just takes Eifer with a hug.
Eifer returns the hug. I'm here if you need me. I'll never leave your side. Talk to me about anything.
Lily's just going to tug Eifer to her bed and just cuddle very, very chastely for the rest of the night.
No funny business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just gonna sit alongside her, comfort her till morning if needed.
Well, if she doesn't broach the topic, then I suppose that's how it'll play out.
Mm-hmm.
Getting emotional connections in my RPG campaign. I'm so happy, guys.
Really need somebody to rely on.
Yeah. Alrighty. So, are there any other interactions you guys wanted to do? Or are we at the end of the session?
I think I'm all set. Morning seems like a good time for Othukkax to come back, so.
Yeah.
Or at the very least to go and try and find him if he hasn't come back yet.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's some news. Can't remember if I told you guys, but next session, I think it's the 23rd. I will be unable to run. My parents are visiting from Australia, and they are dragging me to Vancouver for that weekend. So you guys may be able to set up like an alternative game or just play some card or board games or something like that. But yeah, I'll be out.
And you wouldn't be able to participate as a non-DM, would you?
Nah, I'm going to be exploring Canada.
I figured. That's okay, we don't need Father Max anyways.
He's a jerk. He left us and said he was going out for cigarettes and never came back.
Daddy!
I'm still here. I won't leave, ish. I'm thinking about it.
Juniper was like, Lily says, "Are you going to leave me?" And Juniper was like, maybe.
While you were having that sort of conversation, I was sort of patting my forehead to get the sweat off when I realized that, wait a minute, I didn't really give Juniper a good reason to stick around, didn't I?
She's attached to Lily. Maybe she wants to see her off and make sure she's gonna be okay. Hey, you don't know who. She doesn't know who he's gonna like send to like
Save the world. That's important enough, right?
Yeah.
Alright.
Or at least make sure that Lily pays you back those 5 drinks, right?
The 5.
Yeah, I should probably work on giving Juniper a motive independent of the rest of the party to, have a reason to stick with them. Because otherwise it might be the case that her roguish waif-like ways call back to her and all that stuff.
Alright, so we level up after this, right?
Not this time around. I would if it was the XP system, I would definitely be giving you guys bonus points out the wazoo, but that's not the system we're using. And your next level up will be a goal ahead, or 2, depending on how you guys conduct yourselves.
Alright, I'm going to end off the recording if everyone's okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
I would actually like to do shout-outs to thank my teachers and thank my acting coach and just give my appreciation to all the fighters out there. And now you can stop it.
I don't know, you did a good job acting today. Golf clap.
Thank you. My voice is sandpapered now.
Alright, shutting it off. Thank you all.